All right, I'm doing a little bit of honing. This is 2K. Uh, I started out at 1K for this batch. There was one I had to start out at 800, which is quite common when dealing with restorations. It's just good to start all over. I've noticed that razors, the older ones, I've noticed that I get better results if I just start all over than trying to reset or refine already existing bevel. I mean, we call it a bevel set, but if you take an older razor and you take it to the stone and the geometry's setting up right to where your bevel's hitting how it should, then you're really just cleaning up the bevel that's already there. So I try to go past that, and basically I don't kill it, I destroy it. I don't just pull it along the stone or anything. Like, I really make sure that that edge is gone and start all over again. But this is just 2K. This is the second razor with this slurry that I've got here. The last one, it was in pretty decent shape. It's more of a reset of an existing edge. I've already messed with it before, but this one hasn't. And it's got some little funny business to it. On my return stroke, it doesn't want to undercut really well on the heel, so I'm having to really pay attention to that. And what I'm doing is kind of, when I come stroking back, what I'll do is kind of lean up a little bit on the front, just basically open up my hand and let it drop, and then I'll take my thumb and put that on the stabilizer, and I'll really put some pressure on that, see, to really get that in there. And I don't do it all the time because I don't want to overdo that spot, but majority of the time, yes. It's just sometimes I'll do it really distinctive, like I'll really get in there. I'm trying to set it up so you can see this whole stone. Let me see if I can raise you guys up a little bit. Maybe that's better. There we go. All right. And this is just basic honing. There isn't really anything that I could tell to help you if you're new to it. Don't overthink it. Just come at it like anything you're new to. You don't know anything about it. It doesn't matter what anybody tells you. You got the idea, lay it on there, go back and forth. That's the basis of it. So the next step is just doing it and understanding at the same time what you are doing and what's going to work and what's not going to work. What's going to benefit your honing and what's going to counteract that honing. So there's many different strokes. Everybody has their own thing. So don't get caught up on that. If your strokes seem a little bit different than everybody else's, that's fine, because it's your thing, baby. Just do what you got to do and get it done. These are strokes that I do. I'm not counting. I have no idea how many times I've hit each side. I just kind of try to make it even, because in the end, if you're off by a handful of strokes, it's really not going to make a difference by the time you get to the end. Like, as long as you're not doing it too much in the very beginning, then you should be okay. Yes, I'm using tape on these. I'm still down range here, and what I will do is, once I get probably around the 6 area, maybe, my next stone I'll leave, I won't change my tape out. I'll leave the tape on there and let it start wearing down. And because these blades don't have a lot of spine wear. I got one that does, so I'll have to kind of keep that tape on there, but the others don't have a lot of spine wear, so I don't want to raise that angle up too much. But at the same time, I need to have a strong angle so I can really clean that edge up. All of them were in pretty bad shape, so some worse than others. And what I'll do is I'll wait until that the tape starts to wear down, and that will kind of defunct lower my bevel angle. And when that happens, eventually I'd like to work my way to polyamide, which just, it protects the spine. So your 3M is 7 mil, like 0.7 of a millimeter, I think it is 0.07 or something like that, whereas the polyamide is 25, so it's less than half the thickness of, or more than half, however you want to say it. It's smaller. It's definitely less aggressive, and you can't do as much with it, but when you're on them high grit stones, it doesn't really matter. You're just polishing. We're still removing steel on 2K, and that's a distinction that newcomers need to know. Your low-end stones, your low-range stones, you're still cutting steel. Once you get up to the end of mid-range and into high, you're really just polishing. You're refining an edge that's already there. You're removing scratch marks. You're cleaning things up, but you're not so much cutting anymore, where on your low range stones you're absolutely cutting into that steel. So the thinner tape will work up at the top range. And these strokes that I'm doing there is I'm coming out, all right. When I go toe in, what I'll do is I'll kind of lift up a little bit, not a lot, but just a teeny little bit, just to get the very tip of the toe to catch and make sure it has a good edge. That's that edge that everybody uses to, you know, kind of fine-tune stuff. So you don't want your toe to get missed. So when I'm going in like this, I'll lift up a little bit, and then when I'm pulling back on this stroke, what I'll do is I'll kind of, same thing, I'll kind of drop the scales down and lift the front to put more pressure on that back edge. And it's a pet peeve of mine to stay up off your stabilizer, you know, and keep your edge from the stabilizer on. Sometimes it hits it, it is what it is, but I always want to make sure that that heel gets just as much as attention as the toe does. And yeah, majority of people shave with the front half of the razor. Absolutely they do. But some don't. Some use the heel quite often. I'm for one, there's a very, it's a very important stroke when I'm shaving that utilizes the heel of a razor. So it's always been a thing to me to make sure that that heel is just as good as the toe. So don't neglect any of your edge. That's good. I can hear it. And don't be don't worry about, don't try to baby it too much. I mean, you don't want to be rough with it, but you can close on it. You don't have to worry about hitting that edge, you know. you know, once you get up to the very end and you finally have it finished, yeah, I don't suggest hitting it on anything. But right now, that's not doing nothing, you know. So don't overcomplicate it by trying to be. It's not rocket science. It's not surgery. It's sharpening. You're just honing, you know. So yes, I do change my tape. The tape I use when I do use my tape, not all of them. This round I do, but some of them I don't have to use them. Anytime I'm on these low range stones and resetting, I'm using tape. I'm not trying to destroy the razor. I'm not trying to make it look like it's been hit hard, but the tape is fine. I change it. So the tape that I use on the first stone isn't the tape I use on the second stone isn't the tape I use on the third stone. Like I mentioned a minute ago, I don't start leaving the tape on and start working my way down until, you know, about mid-range, about 5K. When I'm on 5K, it's kind of, you're there. Don't remove that tape. And that's, you can do it however you want to, guys. You know, I've been in this for quite a while as a business, and a whole lot longer as just a practitioner of this. But it doesn't matter what anybody tells you on the web, you know, because if you've never honed, right, and let's say you get your first set of stones, if you have an internet connection and a camera, you can make a YouTube video and go on there and literally just repeat everything that you've seen on a video before, or someone has told you somewhere on a forum or something like that. And come on, people, we all know, don't believe what you see. There is such thing as people making content just for the views, and they're going to do everything they can to convince you to watch their channel. And yeah, I guess you could say that about me. I'm not trying to get you to watch my channel. I'm trying to help you, you know. If you're new to me, to the shop, then you probably wouldn't get it. But all the people who know me, I don't make videos a lot. I'm not one to try to be famous. I just want to save the tradition, man. I want people to learn well, I'm not going to say it's most definitely the most sustainable way for a man to self-groom. Even safety razors, there is, I mean, heck, I've got a blade dispenser, you know, like a blade can over there that I need to restore, and it's for throwing away old DESE blades. So there's still a footprint as far as I'm concerned on that. But with straight razors, this is it. This is it, and I'm trying to save it. So please don't think anything I tell you is just for making views or trying to seem popular or anything like that. I know I'm not popular. But I do want to help. I want to help people out. I want to make it easier. I want to offer things that I wasn't offered when I started. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first started doing this, YouTube was just for street fights, car wrecks, you know, and things like that. Maybe a bootleg movie. I don't know. I just remember watching like street fights and you know, techno fighting. You know, it was just weird things like that. There wasn't anybody on there honing straight razors, you know, and offering information that could help us out. Now there's more than enough, you know. There is, like I said, you know, I've been witness to a man purchasing his very first stone, and within just a few months he's cutting his own edges, and I'm so happy about that. I'm happy to just be part of that, you know. Be part of somebody's journey is always the biggest blessing here. But with that being said, that same guy, you know, in 6 months could be on, you know, a platform, whether it be YouTube, school, you know, anywhere, making videos that maybe he's not intending them to educate. He's just making videos. It's kind of a thing, you know. But sometimes we forget that a lot of the viewers, the people we don't know, a lot of them are coming here for information. They're coming to YouTube to learn how to do something that they've never done before, you know. And I hate to say it, but sometimes it's almost like the blind leading the blind, you know. And that's, please, you guys that I know that make videos, I'm not calling anybody blind, all right? That's not you. I hope you understand what I'm trying to get at with this, is that we do videos. I don't do them very often, but we do videos is kind of like that's a hobby in itself, you know, making videos. There's people who don't do other things because they want to focus on their YouTube, you know. I mean, there is money in this, and if you're in the beginning, you could monetize, I guess. I don't ever see it really getting that popular. The newest generation is too instant satisfaction to take the time to shave like this, you know. It's just not fast enough for them, which I get that. I haven't used a straight razor in 2 months. I use my electric trimmers and trim it up. I'm famous for doing that because it just, you know, as much as I like it or whatever, I just don't have the time to waste on that, you know, to be in there doing all of that. I got work to do. But when I do shave, when I do get a chance to use them, even then, it's still only like a 4.5, 5 minute thing, if that. I made a video of it the other day to show a buddy, you know, because I go in there, I whip up a lather as fast as I can, basically, and then I do one stroke against the grain, wipe my face off, and get out of there, and get back to it. I'm not saying that that's what everybody should do. It's just, you know, after so long, it's not an event for me anymore. It's just shaving again, which I don't mind that. That's fine. It's the restoration that I like. I can't stand toning. The shaving part of it is whatever. But I damn sure like restoring a razor, man. I like getting an old piece of history that's just really broke down and almost useless and bringing it back. So this is the last one in this group of 6. I didn't show all of them. It's already at 20 minutes and, you know, I've been blabbering along. But what I wanted to do was just show some basic honing techniques, nothing fancy, why I do what I do, and kind of a good basis for guys coming in. that want to know how to do it. So I'm going to post this, and I will cut another video on the next stone, and we'll just keep going, because each stone's kind of a little bit different. And the higher they get, the more you really got to pay attention to what you're doing. And to be honest with you, once you get up high enough, if you're using extra hollow or like singing type grinds, there's a chance of cracking a blade. So, you know, that's always a possibility.